residents were amiable and courteous. Aliana shared a home with Darin, an elderly guy. Despite not being her biological father, he treated her as though she were his own. When she was a newborn, he discovered her. He fed her, cared for her, and protected her. Aliana had a
when she was a newborn. He discovered her.
Assisted Darin
he fed
every
her,
morning.
cared for
She
her,
carried water
and
from the well.
protected her.
Aliana had a
when she was a newborn. He discovered her.
Assisted
He
Darin
fed
every
her,
morning.
cared
She
for her,
carried water
and
from the well
protected
and
her.
always
Aliana
She was adored by everyone in the village.
when she was a
Aliana,
newborn.
however,
He
was
discovered
different at times. She had no
her.
idea.
Water and protected.
She sensed something was missing when she looked up at the night sky. "Who am I?" she said to Darin. "Where am I from?" "You are special, my child."
She had no
Darin
idea.
constantly said
She
with a
sensed
smile.
something was
The king
missing
and
when she
queen
looked
were
up at the
still
night
looking
sky.
for their missing
Who am
daughter
I?
in a large
She
golden palace far away. Aliana had no idea that her life will soon undergo a permanent transformation. Each day, Aliana got up early. The birds were singing and the light coming up. She hurried out and went to assist Darin, her father. She started by preparing breakfast. For her father, she prepared fresh milk and warm toast. She cleaned the tiny dwelling after that. Despite its small size, their home was always comfortable and clean. Aliana went to fetch water from the well after breakfast. She didn't worry that the well was far from their house. She enjoyed taking a stroll in the crisp morning air. She assisted the villagers as well. She gathered firewood for those in need. An elderly woman carried her basket if she needed assistance. She made kids laugh if they were crying. Aliana also adored the animals. She played with the little goats, milked the cows, and fed the chickens. She spoke to them as if they were her buddies.
She said
all
to
the
Darin,
time.
"Where am I
She
from?
was content.
You are special,
Yet
my
occasionally
child." She had no
"Do I belong here?"
She
she asked
sensed
herself.
something was
The king and
missing when
queen
she looked up at the
still
night
looking
sky.
for their missing daughter. She sat outside and looked at the stars at night. She sensed lacking something. "Why do I feel?" she asked her father. "My child, you are unique," Darin replied with a smile. "You will realize one day." The king and queen were still searching for their missing daughter in the distance. Aliana had no idea that her life will soon change irrevocably. The king and queen of Eldoria sat on their royal thrones in a
Aliana
large
shared a
golden
home with
palace.
Darin.
Despite their wealth and influence, they were unhappy. They had sorrow in their hearts. Their young daughter vanished many years ago. She was a newborn, no idea of her whereabouts. Despite their best efforts, the king and queen were unable to locate her. The king dispatched his royal guards to various towns, villages, and forests on a daily basis. He instructed them to locate his daughter. She must be somewhere. Each night the queen prayed. She gazed at the stars while standing on the balcony of the palace. "Where are you, my child?" she whispered. However, there was no response. They advertised their missing princess and displayed posters. Anyone who could find her would receive a big prize. No one brought their daughter home, despite the fact that many individuals visited the palace in the hopes of receiving the reward. The king and queen never gave up hope as the years went by. The queen declared, "We will find her one day." Aliana was leading a modest life in a little village far away. The fact that she was the missing princess of Eldoria was unknown to her. The king and queen were unaware that their hunt would soon come to an end. They underestimated how close their daughter was.
Aliana shared a home with Darin,
change.
an elderly guy.
The little community,
Despite not being
was
her
visited
biological
by the
father,
king's royal
he
guards.
treated her as though she were
Missing
his own.
princess was what
When
they
she
were
was a
searching
newborn,
for.
he
Despite their extensive search, they were unable to locate her. When the royal guards appeared, the villagers were taken aback. People muttered "Why are they here?" The guards circled the settlement, examining each person closely. Then Aliana appeared, with an elderly woman while toting a box. The guards came to us. One of them remarked, "She looks like the Queen." She resembled the Queen in her youth in every way, her smile, her eyes, and her face. "Who is this girl?" the guards asked the residents. "Her name is Aliana," an elderly guy stated. "Since she was a newborn, she has resided here."
He fed
"Who
her,
are her parents?"
cared for her,
inquired the guards.
and protected her.
The gentle elderly
Aliana
man,
had when she was a
Darin,
newborn.
was indicated by
He
the
discovered
villagers.
her. Assisted
He remarked, "She wasn't born here. She was a baby when I found her." The guards exchanged glances. "Is this the missing princess? We have to take her to the palace," one security remarked. Aliana was perplexed. She questioned, "Why do you want to take me?" The guards grinned. "You might be Eldoria's missing princess." Aliana's heart began to race. Is this possible? A permanent change was about to occur in her life. Aliana and her father, Darin, were escorted to the palace by the royal guards. Aliana felt frightened. It was her first time leaving her village. She firmly grasped her father's hand. They arrived at the magnificent golden palace after a protracted trek. It was enormous and exquisite. The floors and walls were gleaming. It was unlike anything Aliana had ever seen. At the top of the steps were the king and queen. They had tears in their eyes. The queen gasped when they saw Aliana. She muttered, "She looks exactly like me." Aliana was anxious. She had no idea what was going on. The queen approached her slowly. She whispered, "You are my daughter, my child." Aliana's gaze expanded. "No, this isn't possible." "You were lost many years ago," said the king. "We looked everywhere for you. We have now located you." The queen's face was streaming with tears. "We never gave up on you," she remarked. "You are our princess." Aliana turned to face Darin, her father. He nodded and grinned. He asserted, "They are speaking the truth." Aliana felt her heart pounding rapidly. Is this really the case? Was she a princess? She glanced at the queen and king. As they waited for her response, they were crying. A permanent change was about to occur in her life. In the large golden palace, Aliana sat. It was all so lovely. The hallways were filled with soft music. The floors were gleaming, and the walls were decorated with golden patterns. However, Aliana did not understand. She glanced at the queen and king. Their eyes
She was
were
adored
full
by
of love,
everyone
and
in
they
the
were
village.
gentle. She didn't know them, though. She had spent her entire life
She
in
had
the
no
village.
idea.
Darin,
She
her
sensed
father,
something was
on her
missing when
mind.
she looked up at the
She had
night
been
sky.
under his care
Who am
since
I?
birth.
She
He
said
had
to
provided
Darin.
her with a
Where am I
house,
from?
food,
You are special,
and
my
love.
child. She
Although
had no
he was the only parent
She
she
sensed
knew,
something
he
was
not her
missing when she looked
biological
up at the
father.
night sky.
Aliana
Who
felt
am I
split
in a
between two worlds. "I love my father," she muttered. "I adore my village. I'm not sure if I can stay here." The queen held her hands. "We understand, my child," she added tenderly. "Take your time. This is your home, but we don't want to force you." Aliana gazed around the palace. It was wonderful, yet it did not seem like home. She missed the lush meadows, little dwellings, and simple existence. She stood at the palace window, gazing at the stars. She always felt out of place in the village, but she wasn't sure where she belonged. She needed to make a significant decision. Her heart was filled with
Aliana
questions.
had no idea that her
Aliana
life
sat
will
in the
soon
castle
undergo
garden,
a permanent
contemplating
transformation.
everything. She'd lived
Each
in the
day,
village her
Aliana
entire
got
life,
up early.
but now she
The birds
understood
were
the
singing
reality.
and the light coming
She
up.
was the princess
She hurried
of
out
Eldoria.
and went to assist
She
Darin,
stared at the king
her
and
father.
queen.
She
They had been
started by
searching for her
preparing
for
breakfast.
many years.
For her
They adored
father,
her
she
and
prepared
wanted
fresh
her to
milk
stay.
and warm toast.
She thought about her father,
She cleaned
Darin.
the tiny dwelling
He wasn't
after
her
that.
biological father,
Despite
but
its
he'd
small
always
size,
loved
their
and
home was
protected her.
always
She
comfortable
couldn't leave
and
him
clean.
behind. Aliana took a big breath. She made a decision. She approached the king and queen and said, "I'll stay in the palace. I will be your daughter, but I have one request." The queen held her hands. "Anything, my child," she replied. Aliana grinned. "I want my father Darin to live here as well. He cared for me when I was lost. Now I wish to care for him." The king and queen agreed. They dispatched royal guards to accompany Darin to the palace. When he arrived, Aliana embraced him fiercely. "This is your home now," she said. Darin smiled. "I am proud of you, my child." Aliana developed into a clever and kind princess. She never forgot about her village and was always willing to serve the underprivileged. Her heart was now complete. She had discovered her true family, but she also maintained the person who had raised her. Aliana transformed into a loving and merciful princess. Even after becoming a true princess, she continued to aid others as she had when she was a regular village girl. She loved and respected everyone, rich or poor. She understood that being a true princess meant having a good heart rather than wearing a crown. Her country adored her, not just because she was their princess, but also because she was their helper, protector, and companion. Once upon a time,